there's a decision you made recently that felt completely your own. You figured it out. You saw what needed to be done. You told people, "I came to this on my own." What if it wasn't? Somewhere, a salesperson, a partner, a boss, a friend with an agenda, planted a thought in your mind so carefully that you walked away believing you'd arrived at it independently, and you defended it with the same passion you'd give to something you genuinely thought through yourself. This is the dark psychology of mental influence, and the psychology of power that sits underneath it. Not the crude version, arguing, pressuring, telling someone what to do. The real version is invisible, so subtle that the person being influenced thanks the person doing it for helping them see clearly. Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. He watched princes who commanded armies fail to command a single loyal thought, while others who never raised a sword controlled entire courts through nothing but careful questions and timing. This is Machiavellian strategy in its purest form. Influence without resistance. By the end of this video, you're going to see the exact mechanics behind how thoughts get planted in people's minds, so the next time someone tries it on you, you'll catch it before it lands. Drop a "where" in the comments if you're ready for this. Here's what almost nobody understands about influence. Watch someone deliver the most logical argument you've ever heard. Perfect facts. Flawless reasoning. And watch their audience reject it completely, irrationally, with real anger. This is the fundamental mistake amateurs make when they try to change someone's mind. They think they're speaking to a rational brain. They're actually speaking to something much more defensive, the ego. The moment you tell someone you should do this, their mind doesn't evaluate your words for accuracy. It evaluates them for threat. Every direct statement feels like an attempt to invade their mental territory. And the ego rises up to defend that territory, not because your idea is wrong, but because the idea came from you instead of from them. This is the dark psychology underneath every manipulation tactic that actually works, and it's the psychology of power working at the smallest possible scale. One mind, one conversation. The amateur attacks the fortress. The skilled manipulator makes the fortress open its own gates. Before we go further, you need to understand where this comes from. Machiavelli wrote that the strongest fortress a ruler can ever build isn't made of stone. It's the goodwill of the people themselves. He put it directly: the best fortress is to be found in the love of the people. Because no matter how many fortresses you build, they won't save you if you're hated by the people. He understood that physical control was fragile compared to genuine influence over how people felt and thought about you. He spent 14 years inside the Florentine government, watching exactly this dynamic play out at the highest levels of power. When the Medici returned to power in 1512, he was arrested, tortured, 6 drops of the strappato, enough to dislocate his shoulders permanently, and he didn't talk. When he was finally exiled, he wrote The Prince. A cold, exact breakdown of how influence and power actually move beneath the surface of polite conversation. Everything that follows is built on what he documented. Not theory, real observation of how people actually get controlled, so you can recognize the pattern instead of falling for it. The first tactic to watch for is the strategic question. Here's the mechanism. The brain cannot ignore a question. The moment someone asks you anything, even something that sounds casual, your subconscious immediately starts searching for an answer. You don't choose to do this. It's as automatic as breathing. So, instead of saying, "You should leave that situation," which triggers instant resistance, a manipulator asks something like, "When you picture yourself 5 years from now, still dealing with this same thing, how does that actually feel?" Notice what just happened. No opinion was stated. No order was given. But your mind was forced to imagine a painful future, and your own psyche supplied the fear and the conclusion. The thought feels like it came from you, because in a sense, you built it yourself. They just handed you the first brick. A statement gives your mind something to fight. A question gives your mind something to do, and your mind would rather work than fight. Here's the open loop. Later in this video, I'll show you the most dangerous version of this. The kind of question almost nobody can detect, even when they know to look for it. Keep watching. Drop question in the comments if this is making sense already. Here's the cognitive dissonance worth sitting with. The people best at planting thoughts almost never argue with you. They agree with you first. They mirror your views completely. They show you they understand. This lowers your guard, because your brain reads agreement as safety, not as a setup. Only after that do they insert a small remark that quietly highlights an inconsistency. Something like, "You've told me you value loyalty above almost everything. So I'm curious how this fits with staying somewhere that keeps disrespecting that." They didn't tell you to leave. They held up a mirror and let the tension between what you said you valued and what you're actually doing do the rest of the work. Your own mind rushes to resolve that gap, and when you say the conclusion out loud yourself, it now belongs to you completely, which means you'll defend it with a passion you'd never give to someone else's advice. This is the dark psychology explained at its sharpest. The most effective manipulation rarely sounds like manipulation. It sounds like someone finally understanding you. Here's the forbidden knowledge most people never get told. Timing matters more than the words themselves. Your ability to resist a planted idea isn't constant throughout the day. It runs on mental energy, and that energy depletes the more decisions and stress you push through. Late at night, after a hard day, or in the middle of an exhausting stretch, your guard is lower. Not because you're weak, because resistance genuinely costs energy, and you have less of it left. This is exactly when a manipulator chooses to bring up something important. Not because they're cruel by accident, because they've learned, consciously or not, that tired minds stop scrutinizing and start accepting whatever feels like the easiest resolution. So here's the practical defense. If someone brings up something significant late at night or after you've already had an exhausting day, that's worth noticing. Not because every late-night conversation is manipulation. Because timing is one of the clearest signals something is being engineered rather than discussed. A simple rule worth keeping. If a conversation feels important enough to change something in your life, it deserves to happen when you're rested enough to actually think, not just react. Drop timing in the comments if you've experienced this before. Remember the open loop from earlier, the most dangerous version of the question tactic? Here it is. It's called the ego bypass question, and it's the hardest one to catch, because it removes the threat completely. Instead of asking about you directly, the question gets reframed around someone else. If a friend of yours were dealing with exactly this situation, what would you tell them? This sounds harmless, but watch what it actually does. It pulls you outside your own defensiveness. You're no longer protecting your ego or justifying your past choices. You're now playing the role of a wise outside observer giving advice to someone else. And the advice you give that imaginary friend is almost always the exact conclusion someone wanted you to reach about your own life. This works because it sidesteps the one thing your ego is built to protect: your own self-image. You can be brutally honest about a friend's situation in a way you'd never allow yourself to be about your own. Machiavelli's entire insight here boils down to one principle. You don't conquer a fortress by attacking it. You make it open its own gates. believing it's sending out its own scouts. The strategic question is exactly that. It feels like curiosity. It functions like architecture. So here's where this lands. Watch for direct statements turning into casual questions. Notice when someone agrees with you completely before gently pointing out a contradiction. Pay attention to timing. Important conversations that always seem to land when you're exhausted aren't always accidental. And watch for the ego bypass. When someone reframes your situation as belonging to a hypothetical friend, ask yourself why. None of this means you should become paranoid of every question someone asks you. Most people aren't running a playbook on you. But the people who are, and they exist, in sales, in relationships, in workplaces, rely entirely on you never learning to recognize the pattern. The strongest kind of influence never announces itself. It works precisely because the person being steered ends up grateful to the one steering them. That's the psychology of power Machiavelli watched play out for centuries, just scaled down to a single conversation between two people. The defense against that isn't suspicion of everyone. It's simply knowing what the mechanism looks like when you see it. Drop a "where" in the comments right now. Not as a wish, as a declaration that you see the game now. And if this gave you something to watch for, subscribe. We go deeper every week. The work never stops, and neither do you.